Coming up, the painfully awkward kiss designed to convince the world that Harry and Meghan are in a happy marriage. Sorry guys, you are fooling no one. This staged embrace is another example of the fierce control that Meghan exerts over the Duke. Well, I'll be dealing with the total fraud that is their relationship in just a moment. Plus, details of how the Duchess still insists on being treated like a royal. You won't believe it. Who does Meghan think she is? But first, Meghan Markle humiliates Harry. Yes, the Duke of Sussex, absolutely humiliated by his wife in a brand new magazine interview just published with the leading fashion magazine Harper's Bazaar. And let me tell you, the interview in itself was totally bizarre. Now, clearly unaware that most people think she's a pathological narcissist, Meghan has further demonstrated her extraordinarily high self-regard with a spine-chilling interview, which is all about Meghan and all about what an amazing, wonderful, miraculous, talented, brave person she is. And there is zero self-awareness going on. Meghan has got a total blind spot about herself. And in this interview, she says the true part out loud. It's all too apparent that Prince Harry, if you read this interview, which I've read several times now and have PTSD as a result of doing so, if you read this interview, it's all too apparent that Prince Harry is Meghan's property. He is her victim, her captive, her hostage. She's not even pretending anymore. She says the true bit out loud. Okay, she owns Harry. She controls him. He is her assistant. He's the man there to puff her up and to support her plans for global domination. He is the host cell to her creepy virus. He is Meghan's useful idiot. He's her manservant, her slave. He is her bag carrier. He is the help. He is the spare in his own marriage. Now, this is a brilliant interview by a fearless journalist called Caitlin Greenidge. And what's absolutely delightful is that Meghan chose Harper's Bazaar. And let me tell you, this interview is bizarre in itself. Meghan chose Harper's Bazaar because Meghan thought it would be a softball interview. She thought it would be an easy interview because Harper's Bazaar is not a particularly journalistic outfit, okay? It's basically just, nice clothes and beautiful ladies and a couple of guys in a very smart suit like this one. You're welcome. And Harper's Bazaar is a sort of lightweight, frothy fashion magazine. So Meghan was expecting what I would call the Oprah treatment, okay? The Oprah Winfrey treatment. Remember that interview that was so egregious about the royal family? Softball questions from Oprah. Well, that's exactly what Meghan was expecting from Harper's Bazaar. But unfortunately, Meghan did not anticipate that the person interviewing her would be Caitlin Greenidge, who turns out to be a total rock star. And you've got a few people out there in the public sphere who don't take any nonsense from the Sussexes, such as Piers Morgan, who called out Meghan's lies after the traitorous Oprah interview. You've got Jeremy Clarkson, who said, I don't like Meghan Markle. Jeremy Clarkson said, I hate her on a cellular level, right? Which is a hilarious thing to say. She, of course, tried to cancel Clarkson, tried to cancel Piers Morgan, and she successfully got Piers Morgan fired from his morning show on ITV here in the United Kingdom, Good Morning Britain. But you've got a few celebrities who are out there and won't take any nonsense from the Markles. And one of those, which is not a celebrity, which is a top journalist, Caitlin Greenidge. So she's written this interview, and the interview totally freaked Caitlin Greenidge out. Greenidge could not believe what Meghan was like. You see, I think that Meghan is now in such a bubble that she's not aware of how ridiculous we all find her. She's not lived in the real world for years and years and years. Long before she married Prince Harry is when she inhabited the real world. And therefore, she's exposed herself massively. She did expose herself on the TV show With Love Meghan on Netflix. And by the way, we'll be talking about the Christmas special and the advert, the trailer for that in just a moment. And the creepy kiss with Harry that basically demonstrates that she owns him and controls him. But Meghan is in a bubble and she's lost touch with reality. I think she's gone crazy. I mean, Harry has lost his mind, and I would blame that on his lifestyle back in the day when he was literally baked for a decade on weed, on the wacky backy. But Meghan has definitely lost the plot as well, and it's demonstrated in this interview. So Greenwich interviews her, totally freaked out. And there's an amazing part of the interview where Meghan reveals that she still wants to be treated like a royal. But most importantly, she talks about Harry. And she says, he loves me so boldly, so fully. He loves me so boldly and so fully. No one in the world loves me more than him. So I know that he's always going to make sure that he has my back. Now, that is not a statement of love. That is a threat to Harry. I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back. That's a very strange thing to say, because when you're married, it is implicit that your partner has your back. You don't have to say it. And when you say it, then normally the reverse is true. And this is messaging from Meghan saying, I own you, I control you, and you've got my back, whether you like it or not. It's a completely unequal partnership. And that's why Meghan has been building a power base for so long, because when she met Harry, she had no power at all. The Mark Dolan show has estimated that Meghan Markle's net worth when she met Harry was sub $1 million, maybe $750,000, because she got $50,000 per episode of Suits. But of course, you've got management fees and publicists, and you've got the tax, right? So by the time she's made her money from those shows and she's bought a few dresses and bought a couple of houses, she's down to around $750,000, $1 million. So she didn't have any money. She wasn't famous. So many of the viewers of the Mark Dolan show say, please, Mark, don't call her a star and don't call her a Hollywood actress. You're always telling me she's not a Hollywood actress. She was in a TV show which was aired in North America. That is not the same as being a Hollywood actress. Meryl Streep, she ain't. And I take that point. So before she met Harry, she was a very, very trivial figure. In fact, she needed the help of Piers Morgan to introduce her to the showbiz scene. And how does she repay Piers Morgan? She ghosts him, right? Completely ignores him after meeting Harry, doesn't reply to his texts. And then she gets him fired from his job on British TV in his morning show. And that is the nature of Meghan. That is how vindictive she is. And I've got no doubt she tried to get Jeremy Clarkson fired from the Sun newspaper and from Amazon when he said, I hate Meghan Markle on a cellular level. So the bottom line is that it's so sinister. The way that she says, and you see, the other big issue you've got is that she talks about him so much. And this is an abuse of Harry. Because if she's this independent, talented, brave, bold, feminist woman, why is she talking about her husband all the time? Why is it always Harry this, Harry that, H? It's humiliating for Harry because he's like a box of detergent. Harry's a commodity to Meghan. He's a product. And she's trivialized him to that extent. The guy's got no job now. There's no income. The charities are a disaster. Sentibale and African Parks, smoking ruins of charities, and a public relations dumpster fire. So, and Invictus, I mean, how Harry goes back to Invictus in a year's time after partying during Remembrance Weekend at Kim Kardashian's mother's 70th, Kris Jenner, and for Meghan not to wear the poppy. How he goes back to Invictus is anyone's guess. So many of you think that Sir David Beckham should be the face of Invictus, and I totally agree because he's done so much for charity and he's an amazing athlete. And that's what the key essence of Invictus is about, isn't it? It's a great charity and it's about physical prowess and top-level sport. So, you know, I honestly think that Harry's time at Invictus, his days are numbered. So Harry's got no job. The charities are in real trouble. He's unpopular in his own country. And I mentioned to you on yesterday's show that now more than half of Americans have a negative view of Harry himself. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not as unpopular as Meghan, but that is a very, very low bar. That bar is lower than the equator. But notwithstanding, and I've said this before, Meghan is at war with her own husband. Okay, she's not just an unloving, uncaring partner. It's our understanding that they're not intimate and haven't been for a long time. It's not just that. It's pretty obvious that that relationship is now transactional and polite. Look at Harry's body language, his miserable body language, whilst watching the Blue Jays and the Dodgers at the home cinema with his hand over his neck. He couldn't have looked more miserable. How can you be a millionaire, world famous, and having been born into a life of privilege and be that miserable? Well, Meghan has done that to Harry. She's destroyed his life. So, there's no job. The charities are dwindling. Invictus is in trouble. And so what she does now is that she makes the Netflix project and the New Deal, which isn't a deal, all about herself. It's about Meghan's ideas for TV shows. It's her podcast. She takes Harry to America, which is her country. They move to California, which is her state. It's her kids. She's writing them a creepy email every day that they won't see until they're 18. It's not mum and dad, it's mum. And I want you to know that you have the best mother, and I want you to think you've got the best mother because I'm going to control your opinions as well. And now she says the true bit out loud. And she goes to Harper Bazaar where she's expecting a softball interview, and she hadn't reckoned for the rock star Caitlin Greenidge, who has taken her down to Chinatown. And Meghan has said, he loves me so boldly, so fully. No one in the world loves me more than him. So I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back. This is the point about Meghan. She's not hiding anymore. She's saying the true bit out loud. Also, another thing to say. In life, a normal person doesn't say how loved they are by others. Right? Love is not reflexive. It's not tied in with your personal pronouns about who loves me. When normal people speak of love, they speak of others. I love my mother. I love my wife. I love my late father. I love you. This is a massive community we're building, and we have so much fun every day, do we not? And I can't explain. We have so much fun. And by the way, thank you so much for the wonderful feedback about yesterday's show, which was recorded by the River Thames. I lost about 10 minutes. The show was 10 minutes shorter than usual because I was in a close-up. Let me show you what the close-up was. Basically, a whole chunk of the show was just my chin like that, which is very, very embarrassing. And it's because I'd been showing you need to see yesterday's video if you haven't seen it, but I lifted up the camera and I zoomed in on St. Paul's to tell you the history of St. Paul's. And when I put the camera back, it was still zoomed in, so you got my chin. And this lovely man from the north of England, who was just visiting London at the time, called Nathan, noticed on the viewfinder of my camera that it was zoomed in. Too much so, and he unzoomed it and he appeared on the show. So do check out yesterday's show if you haven't seen that. A lot of love for Nathan. So Nathan is now, basically he was the executive producer of yesterday's show. That's right, he gets an executive producer credit. Now, a lot of you have been asking, where's cameraman John? By the way, before we get to, I've got more truth bombs about Harry and the humiliation by Meghan and how she still wants to be treated royal. And we're going to analyse the kiss. But before we do that, a few parish notices. First of all, to say, yes, a lot of you want to know where cameraman John is. Cameraman John is very busy. He's very in demand. So when I go around London and around the country, I've just got a tripod. I'm basically alone. I am alone. And cameraman John will return. Cameraman John and I are close friends. We are like that. And he's a legend of the Mark Dolan show. And you guys are obsessed with him, and rightly so. And let me tell you when he'll be back. He'll be back when the Mark Dolan show goes on the road next year. And who knows where we're going to go? Are we going to go to Europe? Do we go to Europe? Do we go to Africa? Hang out with Dr. Sophie Chandauka from Centibale? Are we going to go to the United States or Canada? What about Australia? I like Meghan Markle. She's got an excellent, robust immune system. I think she's got the best antibodies in the business. We're going to go to New Zealand. Where are we going to go? We could go to China. I've got a lovely viewer in China who comments on the show. Hello, China. So, cameraman John will be back when we go on the road. He's very, very busy. So when I do my videos around the UK, it's little lonely old me and a tripod. But here's what you got to do, right? I'll be traveling around the country, around London. If you were in the UK, let's say you're an American tourist on holiday, look out for me. Because you may just turn the corner at the British Museum or the River Thames or the Houses of Parliament, and there I am yelling into a camera, and then you got to come say hi. Are you Mark Dolan? Oh my God, are you Mark Dolan? Really? Oh, really? So you got to do that. Come and say hi. Because this show belongs to you, and I don't care if I'm mid-sentence and we're filming. I want you in shot, just like Nathan yesterday, and we're going to chat, and we're going to hear your story. I was in, where was I? Not Death Valley. I was near Death Valley. I was in the Grand Canyon, and I met some lovely viewers of the Mark Dolan show. I meet the viewers all the time. It's an incredible growing family. The other thing that you want to know is, where's Reg the cat? Well, I've got a neighbor who has a cat called Reg. It's not my cat, and he visits the house. But Reg hasn't been around too much. But all being well, he will make an appearance on Sunday's show, so don't miss that. Okay, those are the parish notices. By the way, I've also been doing a lot of Talk TV, which I'm having a huge amount of fun doing. It's a fantastic current affairs network. A lot of politics, a lot of UK news. So it's not going to be, this show is global. 40% of the viewers of the Mark Dolan show are in the United States. So it's UK politics and global stuff as well, but it's not super international. But a lot of you have been saying, what's going to happen to the Mark Dolan show? Let me tell you, let me say just this. The Mark Dolan show will not be going anywhere. Always. 5 days a week. We have so much fun. Do you think I'd give that up? I should say definitely not. I should be so lucky, 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 lucky. I should be so lucky in love. Kylie Minogue, she appeared. Do you know her, Kylie Minogue? She's a wonderful Australian artist. I like Meghan Markle and I like Kylie Minogue. They both have very, very robust physiologies and excellent cellular integrity. Lovely Kylie Minogue. She's a great talent. And I saw her pop video, I Should Be So Lucky. And I can't lie, I was pretty young at the time. I was a teenager. And I watched that and I thought, she's going to be a big star. How right I was. Right. So Meghan is expecting a softball interview from Caitlin Greenidge. And she didn't get it. So Meghan goes, he loves me so boldly, so fully. No one in the world loves me more than him. No one talks about who loves them unless there's something wrong with them, which is, of course, the issue with Meghan. And he's always going to make sure that he has my back, and that is controlling language. It is an obligation on Harry to protect Meghan and to be all about Meghan. And she's defined Harry through herself. Now, normally, if you describe someone that you love, you talk about them and you go, well, my best friend does this, or my wife does that, or my son does this, and you just describe them. Just like I've described cameraman John, and he's very busy, he's very in demand. Described that lovely man Nathan, who came and zoomed in on the show to improve so we could actually see the host. But normally when you talk about other people, you talk about, whereas when Meghan talks about Harry, her description of Harry is in relation to her. And that is this poor man's life now. I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back. It's also an anti-feminist message. Does she need to have someone having her? Are you not this sort of trailblazing icon? Well, no. Because actually I won't have it that Meghan's a feminist. She's not remotely a feminist, because her great claim to fame, apart from being a glamorous hostess on a game show in a short dress, which is fine. You're entitled to wear a short dress and be a glamorous game show host. But then please don't pretend that you're the next Gloria Steinem or Germaine Greer. It's double standards. And so this is quite extraordinary that she is basically telling Harry to make sure he's always got my back. Why does she need that? Is she not strong? Does she, Mrs. Dolan doesn't need, Mrs. Dolan wouldn't say that Mark Dolan, the host of the Mark Dolan show, he always going to make sure that he has my back. It's implicit. You don't say those things. It's weird to say it. And the minute you say it, then it doesn't feel true. It's a bit like the people that tell you how happy they are all the time. Don't trust them. If you've got to tell someone you're happy, you are not happy. Happiness is an internal mood. Virginia Woolf, the author, said that a perfectly adjusted human being would be silent. And unfortunately, Meghan, she gives it a lot of that. Rabbit, 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 yep, yep, double rabbit, yep, yep, double rabbit. So, You got more rabbit than Sainsbury's. Oh, you're doing in my head. Right, we haven't got time for this. There is no time because I've got to squeeze so much into the rest of the show. The Harper's Bazaar profile opens with Meghan praising Prince Harry's devotion. Right, but again, that's not praise for Harry. That's just, it's her saying, it's great, he obeys me. Describing his childlike wonder and playfulness and claiming I was so drawn to that and he brought that out in me. She's just called her husband a man-child. She said the true bit out loud again. She's saying the true bit out loud because she's lost the fourth wall. There's no filter now. She's in a bubble. She's gone completely crazy. I think she's bonkers. I think she's lost her mind. She drinks a lot of Napa Valley wine. She smokes those flower sprinkles and it's affected her brain. Imagine describing your husband and talking about his childlike wonder and playfulness. So all he's there to do, according to Meghan, is to be a man-child and to be a plaything, right? An amusing frippery, an ornament, an entertaining sideshow. That's all. That's not a husband. That is an accessory to her life, an appendage, like the court gesture. That's what he is now. And you know something? We saw this years and years and years ago. Years and years ago. Do you remember that awful? It was during the global health crisis thing. And they're in their Montecito mansion, and it's Meghan and her best friend, one of my best friends who I've only just met and is on the payroll, but they're my best friend. And she's got one of these best friends. Can't remember who it was, but it was one of her pals. And they're there on the sofa in the Montecito mansion doing some video about something quite forgettable. And Harry was outside juggling. And he features, it's like a kind of comedy skit. It was like, oh, look, there's Harry in the background. Isn't that hilarious? And even though he's involved in this like funny scene, he looks completely miserable, even then. And he's on the other side of it. He's just outside the window doing his juggling. And this was humiliating for Harry at that point. And that was the shape of things to come. Discarded, sent outside, and just a figure of fun. The court gesture. Totally humiliated. That's why she calls him H and my husband. She won't dignify him with his proper name. She should actually call him Prince Harry. She should have some respect and call him Prince Harry, how are you today? But instead it's H, which is dismissive, belittling, and it's contemptful. And let me tell you that contempt is absolute kryptonite for a marriage. Contempt is hydrochloric acid. And that acid is currently burning a gigantic hole in that relationship. And one of the reasons why Harry is so depressed, apart from having no job and falling out with his charities, is that he's got no identity. He's got no sense of self because Meghan has eroded it. And she's just saying there that his job is to be a child. And I've said this before on the show, he's not a man. Be a man, Harry. The article also lauds Harry's bold love for her and highlights the dynamic between them as central to their relationship. It's all, isn't it? It's all about what Harry does for Meghan. Nothing, not a squeak about what she does for him, which is zilch. A big fat zero. Niente. C'est rien. Rien, niente. Nichts, keine. Auf die Treppe schnell! Auf die Treppe schnell! Auf die Treppe schnell! Auf die Treppe schnell! She appears on the magazine's latest cover in what's described as a barefaced portrait. I don't like the photograph. I think that Meghan is a good-looking woman. I don't think she looks great in this. I feel like she could have taken a shower and maybe prepared, like dressed up a little bit. Let me tell you, let me say just this. The Mark Dolan show, this isn't just thrown together. We iron the shirts and we have the full, the hair, and you've got the styling cream and a lot of effort, a lot of makeup, 2 inches of makeup, let me tell you. I think that the photograph's not. I think that Meghan is a decent looking woman. I don't think it's the best photo. I think it's very strange that she chose to be so underwhelming for the front cover. I mean, I'm a bloke. I don't know about these things. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. If she looked great, then fantastic. But I thought it was an underwhelming photograph. The piece is titled Meghan's Moment. I mean, just Talk about feeding the monster of her ego. This is my moment. This is my special moment. Narcissism, isn't it? Meghan's moment frames her as ready to author her own next chapter. Ugh, pass me the sick bag. I'm going to dry heave just thinking about that. Author of her own next chapter after years of being defined by others. You know what that is? After years of being defined by others, that is a wild attack on the royal family. Defined by others. Meghan's very bitter about the royal family because she thought she could go in and win that game and she lost. An extraordinary attack on the royal family. Defined by others. How dare you? And also, Meghan, get over yourself. You've not been defined by others. You defined yourself. You defined yourself as a traitor to the royal family and the monarchy. You defined yourself as a controlling and creepy partner to Harry. You defined yourself as an awful daughter that disowned her father, Thomas Markle, who spent thousands on her education. And what does he get in return? Nothing. Ghosted by his own daughter. Asked what she hopes that Prince Archie and Lilibet will learn from watching her work, Meghan points to her Montecito kitchen and jars of homemade jam. I hope they see the value of being brave. They saw it when the jam was just a pot on the stove bubbling. That's right, folks. Making jam is now brave in Meghan's perverse universe. So brave. Forget about the heroes of World War I and World War II who ran into an absolute storm of bullets, German bullets, young men that got into airplanes at 4 a.m. to battle other German planes in the sky. But no, that's not brave. Making jam is brave, everybody. Strawberry jam, apricot jam, that is where real courage lies. She repeats this sentiment later when discussing how bravery, humour and creativity matter more than perfection. Well, that's Meghan admitting that everything she does is completely, always turns to the brown stuff. Caitlin Greenidge describes the staging of the interview, beginning with Meghan being formally announced as though arriving at a grand event, despite the room containing only one other person. So Caitlin Greenidge, the author of this great article, she said that just before Meghan comes in, someone walks in and goes, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. I don't know whether they had trumpets, but that is wild. That is how deluded Meghan is now, that she has to be announced when coming into the room. And there's only one other person in the room. It's wild. And that's why she's so bitter to have left the royal family now. And she hangs on to that Duchess of Sussex because actually she craves the respect that the royal family members have that she never will. And so the author, this brilliant lady, Caitlin, she says, when I enter, the house manager announces Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, even though we appear to be the only other two people in the house. And Caitlin notes that the chosen setting, the Beverly Hills Hotel, is highly deliberate. The table in the garden is described as a prime spot, offering maximum visibility, consistent with the hotel's reputation as a power hub for Hollywood. It's all messaging. Meghan's like, we need the garden table. I must be maximum visibility. And people take my photograph. And then later I'll tell them to delete the photograph, which will be very confusing, just like the Kardashians' party. I like Meghan Markle. The composition of her fingernails betrays a healthy metabolism. She's got excellent white teeth, which implies to me that she brushes twice a day and flosses. And I like her hair, which is thick and robust with an excellent volume and a sensible level of shine. It's amazing, isn't it, that she chooses a prime... This is a woman that wants privacy, right? That's why she left the goldfish bowl of the royal family. She goes to Hollywood, which is the world capital of entertainment, and she has an interview with a top journalist, and she chooses a table where everyone can see her. But no, she wants privacy. Of course she does. The Sussexes communications chief sits between the journalist and the Duchess throughout. So she's got the protection there. Amazing that there was a head of communications that was still working for Harry and Meghan, because they get through members of staff like James Corden gets through Krispy Kreme donuts. A moment that seemed unplanned occurred when a waiter delivered a cappuccino topped with a photorealistic image of Meghan printed in the foam. So you've got a cappuccino, and then you've got Meghan's face in the cappuccino, right? Now, the author of the article doesn't know whether that was planned or not, but Meghan says, "Oh, I recognize this picture. This is from our trip to South Africa." So I don't know what's going on there, but somebody, a waiter, is feeding the monster of Meghan's ego with this cappuccino with her face in it. I detect the hand of Meghan there. I suspect that Meghan arranged for someone to put her photograph in the foam so she can go, "Ooh, isn't that nice? I've got a little foam photo of me. I'm so lucky. Now I can literally eat myself," which I've always wanted to do. In this article, we get almost like sort of Soviet level propaganda about Meghan, with Serena Williams, the tennis player, telling the magazine she's just so smart. Is she? No, Meghan's not smart. I don't think she's clever at all. Let me know in the comments. Is Meghan Markle intelligent? I don't think she is. I think she's driven. I think she's willful, scheming, and narcissistic, but I don't think she's smart. I don't think so. I think if she was smart, she'd have a successful business. She'd have sustained a career in acting. I think if she was smart, she'd still be a serving princess and a frontline royal. Because don't forget, if Harry and Meghan had actually stayed within palace circles and rolled their sleeves up and got on with the job, they would be very popular and they would be very famous. And I think with the two of them, with Meghan being ex-actress and all the rest of it from the United States, I think that they would have done very well. But of course, Meghan didn't want that, and the rest is history. Former model Kelly Zafin credits Meghan's reliability, saying that while people often disappear during a crisis, Meghan just always made herself available to all of us. Now, why has Meghan entreated the people around her to speak so highly of her? It's ridiculous. It's propaganda. This is not information. It's certainly not journalism. Terry Wood, one of the executive producers of the Oprah interview, claims Meghan understands her voice better than you, better than any producer could put it out there. He says she's navigating pressures faced by business founders when you are that famous. I mean, so she's a victim now, folks. Yeah, it's really hard to be an entrepreneur and be so famous as a result of the royal family. She understands her voice better than you. What is that gobbledygook? What does that even mean? I mean, I understand my voice because I've had it since day one. I think we all understand our voices quite well. What does it mean? It's a word salad. It's nonsense. The article includes multiple glowing descriptions from Meghan's circle. Williams says they can talk for, this is lovely Serena Williams. She says they can talk for 100 hours and it feels like 10 minutes. And the model friend Zafin says she's funny. I think maybe that is surprising to people. The feature recounts how Meghan reflects on past missteps, admitting you learn not to do it again. She argues that chasing perfection is joyless and that courage and humour matter more, particularly for her children. She says she avoids making decisions based on outside judgment. She says, I think the moment that you start making all of your personal decisions based on external judgment, then you lose your authenticity. Where are my spare spectacles? This is one of those days when I just put on 10 pairs of spectacles. Let's just tilt these for a second. Oh my God. I think the moment that you start making all of your personal decisions based on external judgment, then you lose your authenticity. Meghan is about as authentic as a $9 bill. She's as authentic as a dead goldfish. She's as authentic as a paper vase. Meghan is... She has the authenticity of a nuclear atom. She compares her parenting to her mother Doria's, describing her as herself as a free spirit. Does that mean never there for years and years so that Thomas has to raise you? Archie and Lilibet often sit on her lap during meetings, she says, since her office is next to the kitchen. She adds that the same playful explanatory approach shapes her business mindset. Or exploratory. She says the same playful exploratory approach shapes her business mindset. I want us to play and have fun and explore and be creative. Now that is code for I don't know how to run a business and I'm a complete amateur. That's what that means. The cover shoot includes minimal makeup, hair pulled back, yeah, whatever. Just hideous. By the way, before we wrap this up and we get to the kiss, Meghan also revisits her Paris Fashion Week appearance at the Balenciaga show. Don't forget that was a complete train wreck, the entire thing, including mocking the memory of Diana with a video in a limousine as it zoomed through Paris in streets not far from where lovely Diana perished. But does Meghan care? Nope. So she went on the Fashion Week, and the Daily Mail reported that designer Pierpaolo Piccioli claimed that she invited herself by text. Now, Meghan's not happy about that, so she's decided to correct this. She said, "Oh, I was excited for him. I reached out and said, happy to come and support you. Support you." No. Meghan lobbied, right? She begged this guy to let her come. And now she has to twist the facts, because she's not an honest person. And instead she's like, no, I offered, I wanted to support him. No, the only person that Meghan supports is herself and no one else. She emphasizes the balance between motherhood and work. I like being able to do both. Her boundaries, she says, have grown stronger since entering public life. The author concludes by noting that this latest cover follows Meghan's digital cover for The Cut in 2022, where she was photographed at her Montecito home alongside Harry and the children. The whole thing is vomit-inducing, but not as vomit-inducing as the latest trailer for her holiday season special, With Love, Meghan. Take a look.
I love the holiday season. It's about finding time to connect with the people we love.
Yeah.
Embracing traditions.
I like this.
There we go.
And making new ones.
We are now in Christmas.
It's pretty jolly here. It's got cracked.
Heyo.
It's so pretty.
So easy and elegant.
It's better the next day and everything turns red.
It's so festive. Being a hostess or a host, it's about making people feel comfortable.
You can do things that make people feel a little bit more seen. See?
Let the festivities commence and embrace the special touches that bring you joy.
And we'll finish on this, which is the brief kiss with Harry, which is exactly the theme of today's show, which is that Meghan controls the guy. She humiliates him. He's an accessory. She owns him. So she decides when he goes on TV, he appeared rather depressed in the first season, where he had to sort of shuffle on screen and say, "Well done, Meghan, my love. You're an amazing person," before drinking his Bucks Fizz. He features not at all in season 2, right? The guy has been cut from season 2 of With Love, Meghan, but he's back in the Christmas special. He's been wheeled out because he's useful to Meghan, because she needs to demonstrate that he's her property. And what she does is she walks over and holds the back of his head. She puts her hand around his neck. That is a controlling move. And she entreats a kiss from him, exactly like when they were watching the ball game with the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. So this is Meghan again treating him as, you know, those ladies of a certain age that keep like a little pet dog, like a chihuahua, in their tote bag, in their little handbag, and they go shopping with the dog in the bag. That's Harry. Harry's the dog, and Meghan is the old lady. And this kiss is just another piece of documentary evidence to show the dynamics of that relationship, how Harry is humiliated on a daily basis, and how he's just an accessory now. He's a device. He's a tool. He's Meghan's useful idiot, and he is the spare in his own marriage. I've got to say, it breaks your heart. But Harry, you reap what you sow. Folks, it's been great to chat. Cannot wait for the next show, which is scheduled to be on Sunday, but you never know, there may be emergency shows coming. So all I need you to do, please like and subscribe if you can. It really helps the channel, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get alerted to emergency videos. Loving your work. Let me know what you're loving about the show. Let me know what you don't love. Lots of feedback about how you enjoy it when I'm out and about. There'll be lots more location shoots. Don't worry about that. We do stuff in the studio and we get out and about. And next year we'll be traveling the world. Where shall I go? Let me know in the comments. Catch up soon. Stay awesome. Bye for now. And I'd rather see through Irish eyes, Belfast.